When the Great War broke out, the Germans brought a hunting rifle. The British brought a battle rifle. The Americans brought a target rifle. And the Russians brought a rifle. Hello everyone. Today I have for you the Mosin Nagant 9130. Going in for a close look at our Mosin, starting with the barrel. We have a 29-inch barrel. It's the same as the Gewehr 98 basically. The sling you see fits through a hole cut into the stock. Rear sight out to 2,000 meters. The receiver is a hex receiver because of these slanted cuts. This was an earlier version. The later Mosins were made with round receivers to simplify the operations. You can see here the date, 1932, and that arrow in the star means this was produced at the Tula Arsenal. I bought this rifle for $75. I actually paid extra to get a Tula hex receiver because they're more uncommon. Also, you maybe get a better quality Mosin if it's a hex receiver, just because these were made before wartime really hit. They stopped making the hex receivers in 1936. You see the 5-round magazine protrudes from the bottom of the rifle. It is serial numbered also. You see in the case of this rifle, you see the original serial number is scratched out, and we've had the serial number of the current receiver marked on there. This is called force matching. It's not the same as matching. You can't call this an all-matching rifle. And for many milsurps, that would negatively affect the value. For Mosins, it doesn't matter so much. Mosin Nagant. The ammunition this rifle uses is 7.62 by 54R. The R stands for the rimmed case. This particular cartridge is Wolf steel-cased modern manufacture, and this is about equivalent to a 308. You can load it into 5-round stripper clips, but I don't have any. Actual surplus stripper clips are pretty hard to come by. The Mosin triggers are not awesome. This one pulls at about 6.25 pounds. It's a very squishy break. There's no defined wall. Just squeeze until it snaps. I do have a bayonet that matches the rifle. It's serialized here. It's very long. It's a cruciform bayonet. Actually, when I bought this rifle, it came with all the accessories, the bayonet, the sling, oil bottle, ammunition pouch, bolt disassembly tool. Yeah, all that stuff for $75. Those were the days. I always thought the number one reason people were drawn to Mosins was the value. In the days when you could buy these for $50 to $100, and you could also get a crate of surplus ammo for another $100 or so, there's really no reason not to buy one. You're shooting a .308 equivalent round. It's a real Russian battle rifle. It's cool. The reality is, though, if you're buying this rifle to shoot, it's got a lot of flaws, and for $50, you can overlook those flaws. But for the price they're going for today, which is $300 to $400 minimum, that's for a nothing special kind of Mosin. You could buy a modern rifle that's better in every way, except it does not have that historical value. And if the historical value is what you're looking for, if you're that kind of collector, then go for it. I would definitely support that. But if you want a rifle to shoot, you're better off getting a Ruger American or a Savage Axis, something like that. So what are some of the most common problems with the Mosin? Well, typically these rifles have frosty bores. Some of them are counterbored, which means basically the rifling near the muzzle is so damaged that they drilled it out until they got back to good rifling. And that's just indicative of the conditions that these rifles went through. You were shooting corrosive ammo in wartime, and maintenance was maybe not as great as it could have been. Accuracy, the American World War II standard for accuracy was about 4 MOA generally. I'm not sure about the Russian standard. I can say that you can get 4 MOA out of a Mosin, maybe a little bit better, but that's with modern production ammo. If you're using surplus ammo, which is the ammo that the soldiers carrying this would have been using, you might get 5, 8, 10 MOA. So, these were not expected to be the most accurate rifles. The bolts on these guys tend to frequently be sticky. You can see that in some of the shooting footage. These rifles are also pretty unwieldy. They're so long, and some people find that the stock is a bit short. So just compared to anything modern, the ergonomics are completely different. The recoil is severe. These are not pleasant to shoot, and this is the standard long-barreled version. If you had like the M44 carbine, which has a 20-inch barrel, it's 9 inches shorter than this one. You may have seen footage of that. They shoot gigantic fireballs. I have not shot one of those, but I can imagine it must not be the funnest day. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.